come for the tier list, stay for the personalities, dude.
Yeah, you're so right.
It's gonna be a
Pokemon
fucking
Advanced
hour and a
tier
half
list.
video. We're gonna have to entertain your
Yeah, this is
millions of
not gonna be a
viewers.
short video.
Okay, anyways,
All right, we're making an advanced tier list. Hello, I'm Blaze K114.
I'm Fawcett.
Uh, we're decent at the game. Fawcett's better than me.
I know.
But I also know a lot, so I feel like I have good authority. Uh, so if anyone knows anything about Advanced OU, it's that there's like two Pokemon that are really, really, really good, and it's a fierce debate who the best one is. Um, and that is
Here's the bait if you're
Tyranitar.
stupid.
Where's Tyranitar? This list is huge, man. This is gonna take a
Bottom
while.
left.
Left.
Bottom left.
My God.
Bottom left. Bottom left.
All right, Tyranitar and that fucking bird that I hate. Um, holy crap! I can't find anything anymore.
Oh
Got
my
it.
god, you were right next to it.
Shut the hell up. T-Tar and Skarmory. A lot of people will say they're interchangeable, but I think it's pretty. It is really close, but I think Tyranitar is better. I think Fawcett agrees Tyranitar is better. Um,
Yeah, I definitely die on the hill that T-Tar is better because I think the mostly the set variety like sand obviously is like the first thing that comes to mind when you think T-Tar because like it's a completely meta warping like condition.
yeah, you
Sand
have
Stream
like
is
a ton of Pokemon that go from being like hellishly impossible to kill to being like a
Snorlax.
nuisance at best. We'll talk about those when we come to them. Uh, but yeah, sand is insane. It's to the point where when you don't have sand, you're like building a team with the express purpose of not using Tyranitar. Um, and I think it's, dude, the set variety is pretty crazy. You're right.
Oh yeah, it's literally endless. You can just
You can throw on like any special attacks you like. It's
exactly
crazy because
fast, slow,
Tyranitar
advanced,
like
mixed, bulky,
it
DD,
has every move
taunt.
ever.
Taunt is awesome. Oh my god.
It
There's so much.
has
You could
Ice
literally
Beam,
could throw on pretty much any four moves and make. I mean,
Pursuit.
hyperbole aside, but like,
Dude, well, I mean,
uh,
this bot super
lots of set
struggles from
variety.
like four move slot syndrome. Like this thing
That
can
is true.
easily
Yeah.
run 10 moves and be happy about it. Um, this thing's insane, and I think
Yeah, Dragon Dance T-Tar.
the
Oh
set
yeah, go
variety
ahead.
alone definitely puts it at number one. But I mean, testament to Skarmory being doing like two things and still being in contention for the
The
best bot in
fast
the
set does
meta.
not count. That set, oh my god. The
Yeah, but
fast
I
Scar.
mean,
It is a thing, but like,
I
why?
mean, okay. The fast set sucks and it's really, really bad and it's super niche. But I more so mean like, oh, are you gonna run taunt on it? Are you gonna run the 8 speed outspeed other scarms to run taunt? Or are you
Honestly,
gonna
yeah.
run
Just
like
yes.
drill peck? But this thing
That's
essentially does
simple.
one thing and it's like by far the best at that thing. It's a spiker. I mean, I don't know why I have to like keep it a secret.
Yeah, and it's
Um
immune to all passive damage except for like Wisp and
yeah,
like
you get
Shielding.
burned and then suddenly like
Yeah, I mean, then you're fucked. You
that
can't let
then
your
it's
Skarm
like
get burned. Then
okay,
it's so easy to
no more
kill. Yeah,
protect stalling, want, but then you still get 2 layers of spikes and they have to deal with
yeah.
it.
And it's also not hard to not get your Skarm burned at all. And you can just really, and since it's spike immune especially, you can switch in and then get your lefties turn and then protect and get your another turn of lefties. So it's just impossible to like actually kill for a lot of teams. I mean, well, obviously every team has to have a way to handle Skarm since it's one of the best mons in the game. But like, just having tools available to beat it doesn't mean it won't be an amazing mon game to game no matter what. Like you would
Yeah,
know it's coming every game and it would still be a top two Pokemon.
I mean, it's the same thing with T-Tar too. Like we
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about, oh, you need a rock resist on your team, and that is
Yeah,
super mainly because of T-Tar.
DD Tar. Like
Um,
literally, if you don't have a rock resist, your team is bad because you can't check DD Tar.
it's really funny how many teams that I've made, and then they lead DD Tar, and I just instantly lose the game because I just forgot a rock resist. Um, but anyway, I don't think we need to talk more about these two. Skarmory's broken at setting up hazards, and it like these two create a play style with
Yes, yes.
TTS or
Of Lum.
TSS. It's so. Oh
Oh,
my god, chip damage is obnoxious, and these two are really good at accumulating it. And T-Tar is a sweeper as well. Um,
number
enough said for that.
three. What?
Um,
Okay, what do you think for number three?
it's tough. There's genuinely like five contenders for the number three slot.
Bold. Very
Maybe like
bold.
three. I think personally it's between it's between Swampert.
Alright.
Where's Metagross? I think I spoiled it. Metagross. It's a giant iron spider. Why can't I find him?
Yeah.
And Blissey. Blissey's kind of the debatable one there.
Mhm.
Um, but we'll talk about them all here. I think probably Metagross.
I agree. I agree.
Um, it really goes to show with these top four, not you, Blissey. Um, like how important Sandstorm is when you're Swampert and Metagross and you can just completely ignore it. Um, and like the passive recovery on both of these Pokemon from like lefties and
Yes.
Protect on the bulky set for meta is really really good. Um, especially when you have Sandstorm up and you're chipping the opponent down at the same time. Um,
Also, uh, of course, Choice Band is a fucking insane set. Like, because even Skarmory doesn't really want to be staying in on Meteor Mashes because it can't hit you back at all.
yeah,
So like, and what
Choice
Meteor
Band
Mash does,
Meteor
like,
Mash does like 35 to
yeah, I was gonna say
Skarm.
35-ish. So you're like four hit killing it, and even if it switches out, obviously, because it has nothing, or it ignores you out or something. Either way, you're dealing huge damage to like the bulkiest resist in the game.
Yeah, and you
And
like the one thing that Skarmory struggles with is like maintaining health. So you really want to manage your chip that you're taking on Skarm because even
mhm.
those 25% hits are really gonna add up. Um,
Well, also Boom Okoing Skarm is awesome with Band.
Boom
Oh,
is
and it,
Boom is brutal.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
agility sets have been like getting used a lot more lately. Like I've noticed it at least, because I mean I feel like people are just realizing how agility, meteor mash, explosion, and then either rock slide or EQ is just such a easy cleaner to set up for if you like keep it in the back and like they don't know the set. It's super threatening mon, and you can run lefties or Lum. I prefer lefties because it doesn't immediately reveal that it's like agility. But Lum is also great.
yeah, I think lefties is. I think they're both really good. I think Lum lead Metagross is something I really like, but
Yeah, for stuff like Breloom and shit like that, Lum
it's
is actually yeah,
it's really fun. I think Boom is really what puts it at third for me.
absolutely.
Because like it's
Having a
such a
kill
trump
button.
card. Like you have to hit the spawn super effectively to kill it like ever. Um
Yeah. Oh my god, and nothing OHKOs it except for like Charizard and
you have
Moltres.
to be
Even
like super boosted in order to kill this thing in one hit. Like
yeah,
you have to be Blazard Fire Blast. You have to be like two
yeah.
DDs Ments. Like
Oh my god, yeah. Like +1 DD EQs are not killing meta if you have like the proper decent amount of like investment. Also, the like not bold impish, like the impish defensive sets are fucking annoying because you it literally can soak up any physical hit and then just toxic you and protect you.
yeah, I mean talking more about Swampert as well with this is like these two also have viability hinging a ton on being like the two best checks to Tyranitar. Um,
Mm-hmm.
even then, like, T-Tar can kill both of these
Yeah,
in
HP
different
Grass,
instances.
Fire
HP
Blast,
Grass
but
and like boosted Earthquake. Um,
still, they are
but
great
still,
check.
once they get their switch in, once they get their turn, if you play it right, T-Tar is dead, like in one hit.
Oh yeah,
Um, so they're by far the most notable checks to Tyranitar, and like some viability absolutely hinges on that. Both of them do very similar things, to be completely honest. They can be defensive, they can be offensive. They can hit both sides. Metagross, you'll see hit physical a lot more than, like, you got a mixed variant for Metagross. That's pretty interesting. I think honestly, mixed Metagross is something that I am surprised I don't see as much
yeah.
as
That
I
Psychic
do.
is it
Like,
hits so much of the metagame, especially when you're able to threaten the Meteor Mash.
and also this is the same special attack stat as T-Tar. Like, it's not when you
And you get
invest,
like,
it
and your stab
hits.
move is stronger. It's 90 base power instead of 80.
Yeah, when you invest, it like hits hard. It's got good coverage. Meteor Bash still uninvested. Meteor Bash, that's 306 attack. That's max attack invest. That's more attack than special attack on Starmie when you invested it. It's like that is a respectable attack stat even uninvested.
Yeah, especially with like the in this gen, it's the 20% attack boost on Meteor Mash, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 20% chance.
Yeah, so that like can really, even on the mix set that's uninvested, that can really cascade into some sticky
And Boom still
situations.
hurts. It really
Booms,
is
oh my god.
genuinely, it is a really good set, and I'm surprised I don't see it more.
Yeah, but on the topic of the mix set, people have also used. I've seen the like the Rainbow Metagross, I've heard it called, where it's EQ, Thunder Punch, HP Grass, and then Explosion, which like it doesn't. It sacrifices like a neutral coverage and being able to hit Gengar for like just super effective coverage on like almost everything, which
Yeah.
I think is pretty neat. I don't think it's a great set, but it's pretty fun.
Enough about Metagross. Swampert. Uh, I mean, there's not a lot that needs to be said here. This thing hits deceptively hard all the time. Like, for
Yeah,
its
core rate
stats,
too. Oh,
it really doesn't seem like it's going to be hitting very hard, even on like defensive variant. Like, this does not hit crazy attack stats. But then you take a torrent boosted hydro pump, and your Skarm's losing like 35.
yeah, and even just having access to moves like Hydro Pump, which is 120 base power. I mean, that's more than stuff like mons like T-Tar and Metagross have access. I mean, barring Explosion, but like as a consistent option, it's more base power than any of those mons
And
have.
like torrent boosted, uninvested torrent boosted hydro pump like Oko's T-Tar. Like,
Yeah,
that is
that
crazy. Um,
is the
Especially considering you get all that investment in other stats like defense, your HP and whatever is going way the hell up. This thing has fantastic resistances, and like the only thing holding it back is the 4 times weakness to grass. So like everything, like you'll see this huge amount of Pokemon that are like, okay, do I want to use Hidden Power Ice or do I want to use HP Grass, right? Um, and it's HP Grass is exclusively for Swampert, where HP Ice is like a more general coverage tool. Um, and it's really it's crazy to think like these mods like Zapdos, Jolteon, um, and like T-Tar, Salamence will run HP Grass even when ice like is out there. I guess T-Tar has Ice Beam, but yeah, what I mean. Um, it's a really strong Pokemon, and once you lose that grass coverage, this thing becomes really, really hard to take down.
yeah, the one thing I will say is the vulnerability to Toxic also kind of can make it a little less versatile than you'd want to, which is why I definitely say it's not above stuff like Metagross. And in my opinion, it's below a couple other mons, but I definitely get why it's up here. Um, because like the refresh set, like on the showdown, it's probably Surf Defensive, I think it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there's oh yeah, and stuff like Roar.
you're
You
losing
can
it
use
like
Toxic.
using a slot on refresh is kind of brutal.
It
Um,
is, but I mean, it's it makes it so you can actually like switch in on and just beat down Skarm without like any worry, which is really nice for like the kind of slower paced teams that can struggle to beat it down.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the vulnerability to toxic and like toxic specifically is the huge
Yeah.
problem
Oh yeah.
for it, where it's like if you're not running refresh, you don't this thing is not reliable anymore, right? You get like a torrent boosted like whatever water attack you're running. But at the then you have to like sign it off, right? You have to stack it at some point. Because you're put on like this honestly really short timer once you like you can't stay in for 3 turns
Hmm.
with toxic.
But even then, since you're sand immune, it's I mean you can still operate for a couple more switch ins when you're toxic, which is nice.
Um, all
And
right,
then Blissey.
Blissey is up here.
So broken. Oh my! People like look at Blissey and they think, oh, special wall, nothing can get past it on the special side. And yeah, that's obviously true. However, as a physical wall, this thing is also fucking broken. It's like
It's
probably
really
among the
funny.
most reliable checks to DD Ments because you can just ice beam it and you easily live whatever it throws at you. +1 brick break does not do shit. I think it does like
It
uh
literally brick break, like adamant brick break. No, mixed ments brick break does like 50 backs.
yeah, you have to it has to be a spike up and catching it on the switch, which is it's crazy that it gets to take all of those moves on the physical side and it still doesn't
It's
check
crazy
so.
that like so many like Charizard, for example, getting way ahead of myself with Charizard. Charizard running focus punch to 2 hit KO Blissey on the Switch is really funny to me. Um,
Yeah, that's why beat up is awesome though. We'll get to Zard. We'll get to Zard.
yeah, but it's really funny this gen. Like when I started learning it, I'm like, oh my god, why are you running special attack stat on Blissey? Just run seismic toss and like status and like wish pass or something. But like in this gen specifically, this special attack stat is not bad at all, especially given coverage. You get things like flamethrower, whatever, flamethrower bolt. This like hits Skarm really hard. This coverage ice beam is really solid chip. Um, like the damage you get from um from this special attack stat is really good, and like it's so much more worthwhile to do that than to pour it into HP, right? And I mean, people have learned this already, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
it's this is like the last gen where Blissey's like, okay, I'm putting it into special attack, because this is the last gen where that coverage, even from like a sort of meta league special attack stat, is still really influential. Um, so it's really like I love this generation's Blissey. I have a love hate relationship with it more. Um,
Yeah,
like, but this is pretty arguably the most cool Blissey um, that
sure,
we have. To be
fine.
completely honest,
You know
um,
what? It can stop more annoying mons like Skarm. So yeah, I'll give you that.
but yeah, I mean, Blissey's very self-explanatory. Insane wall. This thing
Natural Cure
just
too. Oh my god.
this thing just either like T waves your entire team, or toxic stalls and whittles down your team, or just generally switches into
Wish
whatever the hell it
Pass.
wants.
Sing.
Shut
Oh my
up! No,
god.
we're not
What a
talking about sing,
fucking
bro.
annoying set, dude.
Who cares? 60 accuracy,
I don't, it could be 30
55.
accuracy.
It could be 3 accuracy.
Blissey
Um,
gets a million fucking free turns, so it's not like the accuracy even matters.
yeah, fair. I think the next one to talk about here is
Celebi,
we'll
Jirachi,
bring up a few of them actually. We'll bring up
Gengar.
Gengar. We'll bring up Celebi, and I associate them together a lot. So Jirachi as well. Um,
Go figure it out.
I know I can do this.
You're so
A B
close.
C D E
Your
F.
cursor is so close.
It's so much bigger than I like expect it to be. There it is.
There you go. Gotta get zapped too.
Yeah.
For show, for show, for
Um,
show.
so I guess we'll talk about this in the order I brought them up.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is quite the order I'd have them.
Yeah, we'll probably fix the order after,
Um,
and then just talk about them for now.
Gengar is like the most surprisingly bulky Bon of all time. And that's not like literally true. It's just like nothing hits this super effectively ever. Um, like ever. It's just like pursuit. Moral of the story: this thing does not get hit super effectively like ever, because the things it's weak to is like never used, like psychic type, dark type. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Um,
In my eyes, that thing just doesn't get fucking hit in the first place.
yeah, no, it switches
Landing
into
that.
EQ. It switches into every normal move, every fighting move. It's like
Toxic too.
it switches into toxic.
Yes.
Is it's brutal. I mean, this is like it's. I mean,
Wisp is also like the most spammable move in the tier.
I think Jimothy made like a video talking about, oh my god, the utility set's really cool. This is a crazy.
Yeah, that's a
This is
fucking
a
insane
crazy
smoke on
set
page.
of moves to where it's like
Yeah, where
this
do I
stat
start?
spread works with like anything, dude.
And notice no special attack investment at all. And
It's crazy
and
because this has 296.
that's like basically just like
That's just Starmie. It's genuinely
yeah.
just Starmie, but like it doesn't have to invest at all. Um it
No
just
stab
is
though is
crazy.
tough. No stab is slightly
I would
annoying,
hate
but
this
like
Mon if it had stab.
yeah, but
I
it's
would.
literally so minor because I mean it appreciates the bolt beam and like fire punch coverage more than it would honestly. I mean I think like if the physical special split happened this gen, I think Gengar would be worse for sure.
Well, it'd definitely be worse, but if it were just applied to Gengar,
Well, no,
hell
I
no.
think still. No, I honestly think still the coverage is. I mean, actually, no, I'm gonna have to think about
You
that.
get Bolt and like Giga Drain still. Um
And then HP, ice, I guess. Yeah.
well, if you're
Mm,
yeah, Bolt,
and
Giga Drain,
also, yeah,
HP. It's brutal. This
and
Mon learns like
boom,
every move that would
boom,
ever be useful
taunt.
here.
I like. I said I've ran before is boom, taunt, wisp, and then ice punch or T-bolt. I can't remember if I ran ice punch or T-bolt, but what that can do is like literally all like the slower paced mons who like just try to soak up Gengar's super effective coverage. Like they come in, they try and heal it off and slowly threaten it out. But like sets like that can just stop mons like Blissey or Celebi from like trying to do their job
I think
so easily.
Taunt is super underrated
Taunt is like on Gengar. I
on
think Taunt
Gengar.
is
It's so good. But I understand why people don't use it because this mod genuinely learns everything,
yeah, because you
and,
can
and
run a million other things if you want.
yeah, like it,
Three
it's
attacks, boom.
it's
Two attacks,
literally
wisp,
like the
boom.
poster child of 4 move slot syndrome. Like
I mean,
this, other than maybe T-Tar.
I would
Um,
say like you say like saying it like that makes it seem like a negative thing, but I mean like it just has so many sets it
it's
can.
it's
It's fine
scary
with four
because you can't
slots.
when you switch into this, you're like, am I getting T-waved or am I getting whipped? Can I like bring in this
Wait,
mod
it has
or
T Wave.
am I like crazy for thinking it doesn't? Oh, I meant hypnosis.
Awkward,
Um,
awkward.
I bet you know.
Hypnogar, however, sucks dick. Oh my god, Sing Blissey is better.
Shut up.
Yes, it is. Oh my.
Sing.
Today is not the day for the debate.
I'm sorry. I've seen Hypnosis Scar a lot more than Sing Blissey before. Um,
If you whiff that hypnosis, you die, and if you whiff the Sing, you take
well, you
another
don't
12.
always die. I mean, we're talking about how this thing
I mean,
never
I
gets
guess yeah,
hit
you do
super
get a lot of free
effectively.
turns. Yeah.
Um, regardless, this thing is like it has Bolt Beam. It can run so many things to where you like really second guess yourself. Um, when switching out. to if you're making the right decision in switching out, because then you like what's a good example of this? You switch in like Metagross and then you get Will-O-Wisp. Like you get HP Grass when you bring in your Swampert, stuff like that.
Yeah, answering Wisp is just
Yeah,
also
and like you said, Wisp
so
is just the most
difficult.
spammable move in the tier, to where it's like when you bring Gar in, it's like, are you clicking an attack or are you clicking Wisp? Um,
Yeah,
and then suddenly the Gengar doesn't even run Wisp, and you feel like an idiot. Um, but like utility Gar is insane, and then they run offensive, and suddenly it's doing way more damage than you ever could have anticipated.
and max speed since it's base 110, right?
Yeah, it's
Which
350 at
is
max speed.
well above like the fast mons. Because like, I mean, this gen is compared to others definitely slower, but
Yes,
like,
the meta is
s-
way slower.
yeah,
Um,
speed stat wise, like
I mean,
mons like
look at the top mons we have. Like the top three are slow as shit.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
the
yeah,
top four.
and like mons running like fast, like quote unquote, like that. The fat range should be like a fast mon is like what 270 is considered like pretty fast, and if you're like Gengar at 350, you're blazing by the base 100s. The I don't think there's any base 105s actually. If I
Not that are good.
Yeah, but like all the base 100s get blown by.
Um, oh, anyone running Kadabra? Uh,
Awkward.
and then like last thing to talk about with Gar, Boom is like super broken,
Yeah, with
because it's
one.
not even the fact that it like kills a ton of thing or like super chips Blissey. It's just generates a free switch in. It's it like does a ton of chip to things and then gets you a switch in. And that's crazy. Fast Boom is crazy this gen, and I love Fast Boom this gen. I hate that they changed it to where the opponent still gets to like get their Dragon Dance the next generation or whatever
I agree.
boosting move. Um but like exploding on a Blissey and then switching in your like faster than Blissey Pokemon to like 50-50 them. Are you gonna Dragon Dance? Are you gonna set up? Or are you just gonna smack them or whatever? I
Mhm.
love it. I genuinely
Yeah,
love it. And I
and it's
hate
like one
fighting
of
against it.
it is one of the biggest beneficiaries of like TSS stuff because like with even with like one spike up and sand, if Blissey comes in on like a T-Bolt, it's in boom range for like the more offensive sets, and like you have to consider that if you make like a couple wrong moves, your entire team is gonna be in range for Gengar to just clean up. And it's so versatile in the roles it can play. It can be a cleaner, breaker, fucking literally anything. Trapper, stupid set, but still a set, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like Milotic. But yeah, Gar's super mega utility that also has really good coverage. I don't think he's right here personally, but we'll get there. Celebi next. Talk about a utility mon.
Versatility. I was gonna say
Um, this thing
great
does.
typing.
This is like, yeah, no, this is if you have this typing, you'd like get to do what you want. Unless you're Executor and you're slow as shit.
And you
Um,
have dick special defense.
yeah. But like this this thing can run a lot of stuff. Getting Baton Pass lets it do a lot. Um,
Yes. Oh,
like in between having a slow BP and having a fast BP, because
and also being
um
able to BP out of Doug trying to trap you, because like even with a little investment, HP Bug is only gonna be doing like
Bug's doing like
70 or
80.
80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but this thing like this thing has so much versatility where it's like the
Leech
thing that makes
Seed.
me really sad is that it has to run HP Grass, but whatever.
Thank God.
CMBP, Leech Seed, Psychic. I mean, I feel like it's hard to talk
Leech Seed
about.
3 attacks. That's a great set.
I feel
It's
like it's
popped up
hard to
fairly
just talk
recently.
about this Pokemon because it fills so many roles. Um, it's like honestly, I've been having this thing recently where I'm building a team and I'm like, okay, am I gonna run Celebi on this team or am I gonna run Blissey? Um,
Yeah,
because
you need that natural cure.
yeah, um, it just it's way more versatile than Blissey too, where it's like it's kind of another case of Gengar to where like you don't want to switch into Celebi and like not like they have the you're
Yeah,
not prepared for the set that they're running.
ev- even on the defensive sets, like where it's just like Leech Seed, Recover, and then like BP or something, and it only has one attack. Guessing whether that attack is HP Grass or Psychic can sometimes just be really annoying because they're going to be like chipping you down with Leech while you're trying to switch around and figure out what it can actually hit and what it can't hit.
You don't even want to switch in your Blissey for the Ice Beam because Leech Seed literally heals it off.
Yes. Oh
Um,
my God. Leeching a Blissey is one
and
of the like funniest exchanges because you
it's
get
really
like
funny. I love it. Um, and then this thing, oh, suddenly they have Call Bind, and you weren't prepared for that, and
and it's
then
base 100. It's fast. People
it's
always forget that Celebi is very
yeah, it's because
fast.
every set this thing runs is like a different speed tier. It's really funny. Um,
Yeah, you see like the T-Tar, that's like the outspeed T-Tar set, which is like the basic min speed you want to go. There's like the 270 range, the kind of 260-ish range, the upper like the lower 300s to just like outspeed the like plus attack base 100s. And then you can go max speed, which is max speed and
yeah,
outspeeds most of the metagame already.
I mean 100, especially in this gen, is just so good.
Hmm.
But like it's so hard to like you can make a 2 hour video essay on Celebi sets because it does so much in the meta. It can do really it genuinely can do really anything. It has like swords dance too, so it can be like physical pass. Um, it's it's such a strange Pokemon. I love it.
Hmm. It is,
Jirachi.
yeah. Uh, Jirachi,
So I'll
Jirachi,
be real. I kind of
holy
hate
annoying.
Jirachi a lot. I don't
No,
like
yeah,
running it.
he's so annoying. Oh, running it is great, but playing against it
Oh
is
well,
awful.
it's both for me. I don't enjoy running Jirachi that much, and I really don't enjoy playing against it. But I do know a fair bit. This thing is a lot. It's like kind of, it's got the versatility of Celebi without the utility portion of it. Um, it doesn't get BP. It doesn't get any like support moves that you generally see ran other than Wish. Um,
Which is, oh, and then Fire Punch and like Body Slam for status spreading is actually like
I
a
suppose it.
thing.
Yeah. I forgot about Screen. Oh my god.
Yeah, that set. Oh
So
my God.
I think this I wouldn't classify this mod as a utility mod in most degrees. It's more cleric, which you can call it a cleric, and that can be kind of a same difference thing. But
Mhm.
it's like a cleric, or it's like a Stallmon, or it's CM sub, and you just die and burn in
Yeah,
hell.
literally like sometimes if you just bring in the wrong thing and like your team is fairly chipped, it's like mid to late game, and then they bring in a Jirachi, like when one of their Mons died, they bring in a Jirachi on your Mon that just is gonna want to switch out, and they sub on your switch. Sometimes the game just ends right there.
Yeah, the game
Like
ends there because
literally,
this is Steel Sidekick. Like, what are you
yeah,
doing,
it's.
bro?
I was gonna say, yeah, that typing is so good,
Um,
so good.
it's it is really brutal. Even like you get subbed on, and then oh, you get a toxic thrown on you or something, or CM, or it's like toxic protect, or it's oh, you're getting body slammed and nothing can move anymore. It's such an annoying Pokemon. It is like it really does. It really is fitting because it just fills me with dread every time I see this thing, and it's that's kind of its design. Um,
Yeah, and
it looks pretty cute though. Um,
so true. And it's just there's no chipping it down. It takes spikes and that's it.
yes,
And
it
I mean,
takes.
like obviously
I
Wish, I guess, but
hate
like
that, dude. Steel types. This jet is so good. Um, but yeah, super versatile mon, and it's like it loses out on a little versatility compared to Celebi, but makes up for it with like offensive power.
yeah,
Um,
thank God it doesn't get baton pass.
if this thing got me, I when I started playing, I swore it did. Um, I'm very happy that it doesn't. Uh, it's Zapdos. So Zapdos is my personal candidate for being like right here. Um, we had talked about it first, then and then
Mhm.
deliberate on that. But um, Zapdos is a much more like,
A little more straightforward.
yeah,
Not to
much
say
more
there's no variety,
straightforward
but like
one. Um, but the
the moral of
stat
the story
spread
is like
here, the
very
spike
yeah.
immunity, the fast BP, stab thunderbolt is okay. Like I feel like now is a really good time to emphasize just how good stab thunderbolt is in this meta. Um, because that in combination with like HP grass makes nothing want to switch into it. Um, like the only thing that switches into Zapdos, and it's notorious for doing it, is Blissey and like Celebi. Um, but like I'm referring to mainly Blissey.
Mhm. And
But like
even then,
once you take down Blissey, once you take down Celebi, not fun time. And then Blissey or Celebi come in, and then you just like switch out, and then you're playing this. There's so many times you bring in Zapdos, and then oh, their thing switches in, then you switch your thing in, and then they switch to a thing that's weak to Zapdos, so you have to switch back to Zap. Um, have to, you know what I mean?
yeah.
This thing forces so many switches, just because of how strong it is. And then it cleans really, really well once like Celebi, Blissey,
Yes, yeah.
are down and then other mons are chipped a bit. It's so good late game. And then it's also really good as a lead. Um
One of like I'd say it's like a top two
I
lead.
would say it's a top 2 lead too. Like and it's like the am I gonna get T-Waved or am I gonna get Toxic? It's like what I thought Gengar was, right? Um this thing's fast and taking a fast like Toxic or a fast T like switching in a slower mon and then getting T-Waved is like such a nail in the coffin moment. Um and then like oh
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't really switch in T-Tar um because you're switching it into a T-Wave and then its lum is burned or it's like it's paralyzed if it's running bulky set and then they're just going to thunder wave you again and it's this thing is really good at spreading status. That's kind of like
And with the when you're running modest, especially the amount of stuff that just gets two hit killed, like Metagross gets two hits,
stab
T-Tar
bolt
gets
is
two hit,
messed up, especially
like
like this mod loves spike support too.
yes, oh my god, even with like one spike up, stuff is just not able to switch in anymore. I mean, this is obviously like assuming that you're because like you have to have some kind of zap check, like whether it's Celebi or Blissey or a combination of like Pert and then a bunch of other resists and stuff. But like once those things are even kind of out of the way and like and it's able to threaten two hit kills on like most of if not all of your team apart from that. Oh, which is also why Doug is like Doug and Zap go together like fucking I don't know, peanut butter and jelly. Like literally BP. Like you have your Zap and you like they bring in their Blissey, but you know they're bringing in their Blissey, so you just BP into Doug,
Yeah, I
and
mean
then they
like
don't.
BP
It's
Zap
over.
and Doug is it genuinely is like oh they switched in their fucking what am I thinking? Like any setup sweeper, basically. Or anything that is ground weak at all.
Yeah.
So like your Jirachi, your Metagross, your Tyranitar. And like in an end game situation, especially, it's so good at like locking down steel types and killing them, or like Blissey. Um
Mhm.
or like even Celebi like gets bugged out after being chipped through spikes damage. It's like, you know, and I talked about it, especially with Celebi, where Celebi loves switching into Zap, so if you can predict that and you have enough chip on Celebi, it's just gone when it's with Doug. But we'll talk more about Doug later. Um,
A
but
quick
it's
check.
like
How long have we been talking?
it's been a half hour.
Okay, okay.
No, it's been 40
Damn. Okay.
minutes.
Okay, we might have to just do like a top 25.
No, we're
Because
gonna
this
talk
is
about this significantly less once we go down. Um,
Okay, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
all right. Last thing I want to talk about because
Oh,
I've been on the fence about it is Salamence.
I don't
Um,
think it's quite S. Oh, speaking of men's, Zapdos's Spadef set is like the best counter to Mixed Ments, which is one of the most threatening mons in the tier, which is very nice.
Mixed Bets is so popular now. Like,
It's so because it's so good. Also, just like the straight up special ments where you just replace Brick Break with Pump to like just demolish stuff like Claydol, and you still get to kill T-Tar because it's Hydro Pump. It's like that's an awesome set that has been popping up more lately,
um,
especially with Doug support.
dude, I forgot this shit got Hydro Pump.
It
Um,
got fucking everything.
um, so before we talk about Mets, I think I'm super fence sitter about Mets in S tier,
Mhm.
but we'll talk
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
we should
Um,
reorder S tier. What are we thinking?
I think T-Tar, Scar, Meta. I'm still pretty adamant about Pert. At
Mm.
4.
Okay, okay, I could see, I could see it.
Uh, I
I'd
think
definitely say Bliss is above Zap.
I would say Bliss, Sap, Celebi, Gengar, Jirachi. Um,
Uh,
personally,
yeah, that's kind of yeah, that's fairly close to what I think.
I think like between Celebi and Gengar, those are like the closest ones in my opinion.
Hmm.
To each other, like both of them, they're very good. We talked about them already. Um, try to so A plus is here. It's a lot smaller than well, not a lot smaller than S, but briefly talk about other than bets. I mean, bets I'm gonna talk about for a decent bit. Mixed bets is crazy. I mean, I suppose we talked about it a bit. Mixed bets is crazy. DD Ments is a huge win con. Like the fear instilled in me to where they still have one unrevealed, and like I noticed that my entire team loses to DD Ments. Um, like
Yeah,
sometimes I will be up like 5-2 and then they switch in DD Ments and I lose. Um,
exactly. And like one of the things is DD Ments, like it's that whereas like DD Tar, when it's at +1, you can like there's a few mons you can switch in to threaten it out. You got your Dug, your Arrow, your Jolt. Like you can actually I like straight up outspeed it.
yeah, I mean
That is
it
not an
only hits
option.
it hits 364 speed, which
Mhm.
is like good. You're
Very
beating the
good.
Starmie benchmark, but you're still getting dugged, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Whereas Ments has no such issues and outspeeds the entire metagame at +1. Like, so you don't get to bring in your arrow and try to rock slide it because you'll get rock slide first by that immense. You don't get to bring in your jolt. Like, none of that. You have to have a
you got to get
healthy
this
check.
down turn 1 or
Exactly.
you have to have something that isn't dying instantly to any sort of coverage. And that can be really tough because I still think Pocket Ments is like the scariest mon. Um like genuinely the scariest like pocket Pokemon in this format. Like
I'd
period.
say, yeah. Yeah, maybe Jirachi, I'd probably say.
Um
However, yeah, I totally get what you mean.
Choice Band also exists. It's fallen
It's
off
fine.
a hell of a lot. Just because I feel like there are
Double
better
Edge is
band
cool on it, though.
users, and I also feel like if you're using Salamence, there's a lot more productive things it can be doing, I guess.
Oh, and
Um,
oh my God, we completely glossed over the amazing defensive utility. Flying Dragon is great. You're immune to spikes, you're immune to EQ, you resist grass,
Intimidate.
fire, water. Oh my, so like especially with a teammate like Metagross, it pairs perfectly with because like if you look at like their weaknesses and resistances, they pretty much perfectly match up, and you can just switch between them all day.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially with Intimidate on the table.
I
Like
mean,
you can just switch back and forth between Ments and other checks on your team and just kind of intimidate down. Like even stuff like a DD Tar when
yeah, no, like
it'll
switching
kill
into
something.
DD Tar and intimidating it and kind of whittling it down. Like, does I'm this thing also is like surprisingly bulky.
It's
It's
like a
not
90,
crazy.
80, 80, I think.
95, 80, 80 is pretty crazy. Um, for this generation, like base 80s is really really solid.
Especially with
Um,
Intimidate. Ooh.
but yeah, like not super versatile mon, but it's like such a good cleaner. Um, like it's like the prime example of a cleaner mon. I feel like, um, but like it's not versatile. I guess you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
I
I
wouldn't.
feel like the utility sets it has are like too niche.
I think that like the Wish Protect stuff, I think it's pretty good. I don't know. Because like that speed tier allows it to really come in like with its Intimidate on whatever hit. And that speed, like probably go, I go two attacks and then Wish Protect. Even with those two attacks like Fire Blast, Declaw, or EQ, HP Flying, you're able to threaten out a lot of stuff and really efficiently like pass the wishes to your teammates. Also, Toxic on that set is good. It I think it's more versatile than people tend to give it credit for, but
That's
I
fair.
definitely understand that
I think
with its like lack of immunity to Toxic or Sandstorm, it's kind of precarious.
that's my issue. Also, like, I mean, this thing folds to to ice type coverage. Like we know this
Yeah,
already.
no,
So
yeah,
once
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like switching to ice types is down, then it's not really passing shit anymore. Um, it's I don't know. I still think it's niche. I don't think it's bad. I think it has its place in some teams, but I don't think it is. It's like far from any reason to use Salamence. Um, I feel like most of the time there's other wish bonds you can go with, like Rachi and Blissey. Um,
Mhm.
but I get it. Um, Aerodactyl, I think we'll bring up
Best
a few.
cleaner
We'll
ever
bring up the
made.
bandies here. They're pretty different from each other. So
Yeah,
Arrow,
calling Doug a bander just feels so wrong because like that's just it by default. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean that's true. I suppose Aerodactyl sometimes doesn't run band, where Doug just automatically does.
I mean, like, yeah. Also, I'm definitely on team. All the non-banned sets are not good on Arrow. I mean, the sub light she's fine, but
The
like,
sub, I think the subset's fine. I think it does a really good job of catching people off guard to where like, oh my god, Banded Arrow just switched in. I need to get the hell out of here, and then they sub on you, and
yeah,
then
I get that it can kind of like ease up a clean, but I think it just takes away too much from like mid-game utility, in my opinion.
I agree with that. I think Band's definitely like significantly better as a set, and 90% of Aerodactyl you see is
Oh
the
yeah,
Band
yeah,
set.
absolutely.
Um, and it's the same thing. It's just a debate between, is it running the bug or is it running fighting or flying? Nobody
The
should ever
bug
use flying. You've convinced me on this.
double edge,
There's
the
like a
double edge on
there's
the
a
table.
move called double edge that does the same damage.
It's your strongest move.
Um, and
Stronger
like,
than
oh,
Rock Slide.
congrats, you're hitting what should I call it, Gengar and Celebi now. Where you run bug and suddenly Celebi does not like that nearly as much anymore.
Yeah, Celebi
Um,
explodes. Oh, Claydol. Hitting Claydol too. I mean, double edge already hits it pretty good, but being able to hit it even harder is nice because Claydol has been very prevalent lately.
we're getting a Claydol pretty soon. Um, but yeah, I mean, this guy, I mean, he does the same thing. I'll be real. There's not much merit to talking about Substitute. It's very niche. I think it is not particularly good, although I do think like sub fast toxic and then
On who?
on Aerodactyl.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I think substitute toxic is a little bit underrated for that set. Um,
Oh my God, did you I remember BKC mentioned in a video like the flamethrower sub protect toxic
anyone who
set.
runs Fire Blast on on
No, no, no,
Aerodactyl,
that's a PP. You gotta run flamethrower, big dog.
I I just
Also,
I
I
hate.
tried it out once. I mean, like, it's funny because like pressure and like stalling stuff out with toxic and just chipping down Skarm with
I forget
flamethrower. But
this thing
like,
got pressure.
I was, I was gonna say, what kind of sicko would
Yeah,
fucking come
you
up with
gotta be
that?
messed up to think of that stuff. Um, but like these two, there's not much. Doug is like Dug it
The
is like a
enabler. It's
phrase
the
in this
enabler.
meta to where it's like, okay, suddenly your thing's just weak enough to be killed by Dugtrio.
Yes, and it's
So
like,
this thing is like the master of trading. Um,
mhm. It is like the easiest mon to be like, okay, I know this guy has a Doug in the back. Like,
yeah,
but except maybe Mag is easier to tell when they have it, but like, no, it is fairly easy to know if they have a Doug, and even still, you have to use your
you have
Mons.
to
Like,
respect Doug
I was
so
gonna
much.
say,
Where
you
it's
have
like,
to use the Mons that it wants to trap, because like otherwise, then I don't know, they're fucking some
oh
Calm
yeah,
Mind
you're just not
Raikou
gonna
is gonna
use your
destroy.
Metagross or Blissey anymore, or
Yeah.
Jirachi. Um, this thing is scary as hell. Banded Earthquake hits like a truck no matter what. And
Adamant is
Adamant
better.
is becoming slowly a lot more popular, too, because you're in this precarious situation where, do I really want to switch him by Starmie or Gengar that's like chipped out against this Dugtrio?
Yeah. It
Um,
does like it basically going Adamant basically removes all utility it has and just says, I want to kill that fucking bulky Metagross right there now.
yeah.
And I mean like not outspeeding stuff like +1 DD Tar and all yeah, and Starmie and Gengar to be able to like clean sucks, but just
There's other
eviscerating
Pokemon
Blissey.
on the team that should be able to deal with those Pokemon. You're
Yeah.
not bringing Doug to deal with Starmie or Gengar.
Hmm.
That's just more of the versatility aspect of running the full speed. I like Adamant Doug more personally, but it's really easy to tell when you want to run Adamant Doug versus like Jolly Doug. And
Hmm.
that I don't know. This mod's just so good at doing what it does. It is
Beat up also. Just demolishing Blissey.
no, no. Um
Beat up actually like changes so much because you literally if they bulky beat up I guess you can just demolish Blissey so easily. I think like a good beat up does like 70 or 80 to Blissey if I remember correctly. It's happened to me too much. I'm not happy about it, but like it's such a it's it enables literally basically whatever kind of special offense you could want in this tier, while also slightly being a speed control type of threat itself, which is nice.
I think it's a good point to mention like this thing destroys like the two big special walls in like Celebi and Blissey once they're chipped down a bit.
Hmm.
Um so that you get your Calm Mind or passes and or your Zapdos to clean or something. It's very this dude's really helpful. But it's also it just dies to everything. So that's kind of what keeps it in
Does.
check. It just instantly explodes to literally everything.
You're lucky if you get to live one resisted move.
Um all right, Starmie.
Ooh,
Where is
Starmie.
that? Like we Starmie is crazy.
Fast as
Like
hell.
I would
That
say
stab pump. Ooh.
between it and I'll bring up Claydol too now that I'm talking about rapid spin. Um like these two are battling for the position of spinner, but they play completely different roles.
They do, yeah.
Um if you want like if you're playing a slower paced team, Claydol's a really good spinner for that. It booms, gets you free turns. It's deceptively fast. It's got um really decent coverage and
Great typing.
yeah, immune to sandstorm, immune to spikes because of levitate.
Levitate. Ooh.
Um
Very bulky.
yeah, and like I the HP stat
Like
kind of catches me
genuinely
off guard
crazy
sometimes.
bulk.
Yeah, 120 special offense is like nuts. Um and then Starmie is like, oh, I'm gonna trade away all. It's literally like looking at it, it feels like the exact inverse of Claydol. I mean, kind of. Starmie's defenses are like sort of.
Surpri-
They're
yeah,
not bad at all. I mean, there's
yeah.
bulky
And
Starmie sets.
there's a bulky set. I don't
Um,
think it's that great, but it's good.
it's fine. I think if you're running, I feel like genuinely you should just run Claydol if you're gonna run a bulky spinner though. Is the thing.
Yeah,
I
I mean
I get the access to
the
recover is
natural
really nice.
cure too is kind of nice to have on teams like where you otherwise don't have that.
That's true. Um, but yeah, both these are like the two rapid spinners in the tier. You're not really gonna see many other ones other than like you're not using Forretress to rapid spin. You're, I mean, I guess you kind of are, but
I was gonna say,
Forretress
yeah,
has gotten a
why
little
else
bit
would you be
worse.
using it?
Um, I mean, it's a spiker. It's a spiker that like outspikes Skarmory.
Oh, I mean, like, why would you use it if not to spin and spike on the same mon?
Yeah. But
And just,
Starmie's really funny because it's like it's one of those bonds to where if you're not prepared to fight a Starmie, it like super shows. This thing is fast, it hits hard, hydro pump stab.
and then
Even
Bolt Beam. Like, literally, what more could you want?
like 299 special tag isn't crazy, but you got stab hydro pump. It's like taking a defensive pert for, torrent boosted hydro pump. It's pretty much the same.
I don't know about that. Is it that strong?
Yeah, Perts is still stronger. By like a pretty okay
Decent chunk.
margin. Um, but this thing, I don't know. Both of these mods are very linear, and then just have their kind of choices of coverage, I guess. If you're running Psychic Starmie, you're stupid. That's all I have
Yeah,
to
I
say
think that
about
set's
that.
pretty silly.
Um, and then
But you,
Claydol, Explosion getting a free turn's really nice, and like killing things also nice. This thing
also
beats Gar.
surprisingly, I would say this is definitely a 4 moveslot syndrome mon. Because it would
Claydol,
really
yeah.
like, yeah, even one more. Because like
Like
standard is usually like
the thing has
spin
ice
boom.
speed for no reason.
It
Um,
does, and it's oh my! I will never forget the day. This was like a month ago when my pert got HP grasped by a fucking Claydol.
yeah, that's a skill issue.
Let's say that's a tough one. Also,
Um,
Toxic is really good on it.
Toxic, Rock
Really,
Slide,
really good
even
on it.
Shadow Ball.
And the Claydol's really good, but it doesn't really get to pick all of the things it wants to do. It gets to pick a few of the things it can do, and it does them really good. But you don't get to do everything. I mean,
Yeah,
thank God, I guess. But like,
the versatility of this spawn is like definitely gone up over time. People have realized, and that's
mhm.
brought it to a point to where it's being used more, and you have to be a lot more afraid of what options it's going to use. Like you have to respect the spawn a lot more because then suddenly you're getting your Swampert HP grassed, or um, your Zapdos is getting rock slided, or um,
Or your Mence is getting ice beamed.
yeah, if your Mence gets ice beamed by Claydol, you gotta quit, I
Super
think.
uninstall.
Um, so that yeah, that's that for that. Magneton. This thing's viability hinges on being by far the best counter to
That
Skarmory.
high. Ooh.
Um, what?
Personally, I don't know if I'm a proponent of it being that high, but
I think the fact that this thing literally just gets to delete Skarmory, who is like
yeah. And
number
also it has like
two.
a pretty solid speed tier.
Um,
And
yeah,
that
it's a
and
solid
it's like
speed tier.
base with
It
like
it like kills
125
Pert once
attack.
it's shipped. Um,
It's
it's
basically as strong as Zap, put
um,
simply.
yeah, no, I mean, it literally is. Most of the time, the bolts it's firing off is stronger than Zap. Um,
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, it runs Modest a lot more. Oh yeah,
um,
and Magnet.
yeah, it runs Modest Magnet to one hit KO or to like get to the point where it's like significantly in your favor to one hit KO. I don't think it's
Mhm.
100%.
Like yeah, you basically just run your like T-bolt, and then you decide, okay, what additional utility do I want, and then whether that's like Endure Select to beat a Dug, or whether it's like Subtoxic just to be annoying, and because Subtoxic is always good. HP Grass
You can run
or
T-Wave
HP Fire.
too, like
Yeah,
Zapdos.
T-Wave, T-Wave,
Zapdos
yeah.
switching in to
Protect. Also, its typing. It, I mean, since its weaknesses are so prevalent, being fighting, fire, and ground, like you might think, oh, it kind of gets OHKO'd by everything, but like the amount of stuff it can actually like come in on and then threaten stuff out with its horrifyingly strong T-Bolt is like really good.
this thing always hits so much harder than you expect to.
Yeah.
Um, like Magnet boosted T-Bolt, yeah, one hit KOs Skarmory. But like think about that. Nothing one hit KOs Skarmory.
Yeah.
Um
Unless you got your fucking Moltres in or something. Like nothing actually gets that hit.
um like this thing like is shockingly good against the meta, I think. Um the thing is it like really struggles against like it's like really good against one half of the meta and then sucks against the other half
Yeah.
to where it's like, oh, it just gets quaked by literally everything.
And I mean,
um
honestly, everything it does that isn't removing Skarm is basically a bonus,
yeah,
if we're
I
being
mean,
honest.
you're bringing this to get rid of Skarmory. You're not bringing this for any other reason. um but like that reason is it's really crazy how its viability is just tied to that. um but competition
Well,
with
and
Zapdos forces Skarmory out and has Baton Pass.
so trapping a banded Metagross that are locked into
Meteor Mash, yeah.
Meteor Mash or Rock Slide. Who knows if they click Rock Slide for some reason. But yeah, you get to trap them and then two-hit kill most of the most common set. I think it's two-hit kill. That could definitely be wrong.
um
Actually, I'm gonna calc that because I really
but like
feel like
genuinely this thing's so volatile. It's really funny how it just hinges on being able to just kill Skarmory like that. But I do think
oh my god, yeah, that's a super two-hit kill. Yeah,
I I am
sweet.
hesitant. I'm fencier about Suicune.
Ooh, that's
Um,
uh, say what you will, and then I'll give my opinions.
I think this thing is really annoying, a huge threat. Its coverage is really stupid. It doesn't die to anything. Um, and its set versatility is a lot more than people realize. Like Rest Talk is messed up. Toxic is stupid. Surf Ice Beam. Um, Hydro Pump offensive. This like substitute. Um, this thing is just it really goes to show how far like Water Stab goes in this meta.
Hmm.
Um, and like Toxic, just that combination. And then like you kind of it's the same thing with Swampert to where like yeah you really want to toxic it, but then there's the chance they're running refresh, or in this case they're running rest, to where it's like at that point, like if they're running Crocoon, um like this bot sometimes just wins against teams. um
Yeah, it's one of those guys for sure.
where it's like you don't want to lose out on your Zapdos right until everything's revealed, because what if they have a Suicune, or
Yeah.
um because then like your only shot is to just roar it out with Skarm. Um, but I think this mod's like a super huge win con.
Hmm. I mean, I get that, and like I definitely like agree that it can destroy teams, but I think that just like on a game to game basis, like particularly let's say like the offensive like fast set where it's like Calm Mind, Ice Beam Pump, Grass type of stuff. Um like stuff like that just doesn't get the amount of utility like out of that bulk that you would expect. Like it gets chipped down by spikes and sand and toxic and coming in on hits, and it's just really not able to stick around. And that also I think applies to the bulkier setup variants too, because like you could go max HP bold with like rest talk Crocoon, and then like yeah you're not going to be dying to anything, but also there's a lot of things that will have plenty of time to like oh, leech you, oh, knock you off, hit you with big moves, force you to rest over and over. Like pressure, admittedly, like helps a lot with stuff like that for the
Yeah.
bulkier rest sets. But like I just, it's really unreliable, especially like set. How do you set up for an end game with like Crocune? You have to remove Celebi. You have to remove like their Blissey or like stuff like that.
I
You
think
have to
it's
remove their boo. You have to remove whatever can boom it. You have to remove stuff that might have like taunt or just a lot of other things. I think it's just kind of too hit or miss in my opinion. And
I
mainly
get
it
that.
all stems to just being too TSS weak.
I'd agree with that. I am very fence sitter about um yeah, I mean I don't know. I'll put it in A for that since there's not realistically a huge difference between A and A plus, but
Mhm.
um I
Uh,
think yeah, I mostly agree with you. It is very TSS weak. It's weak to like a lot of the meta as well. Um
mhm.
but it is really good against Etar. I didn't mention that. It's really really good against Etar.
Yeah,
Um
until it isn't after switching in once or twice.
yeah. But it
It's
faces a lot of competition with Swampert as a water Pokemon who can do a lot of the same thing. The benefit being like obviously Suicune isn't like nuked by grass coverage.
yeah, and it's
Um,
fast. It's pretty fast,
it's
which is
decent,
nice.
yeah, no, and it's like offensive variant is a lot more threatening because of its speed. I wouldn't say more threatening actually. But like you get what I mean, where its speed tier really
Mhm.
does cover like
I mean, yeah, more threatening.
well
You get to hit more things faster.
yeah, I guess.
Outspeeding stuff like Claydol that you wouldn't with
Yes.
bulkier sets. Stuff like Mag that would eviscerate a bulky set.
Yeah, and um I I hate the mono waters in this gen. Um I'll try to go so I think that's it for A
Yeah, I was gonna
plus.
say I think that's I'd call A plus there.
Um try to go a little bit faster through A. These are bods. I
How
think
long
A is
are
a
we?
generally a lot more linear. Um I would say. We'll start with the Firebirds.
Yep. Okay, I was gonna say that's what I'd.
I think Zard is the better of the two just because it's a
I
little
agree.
more versatile. Um,
Speed, it's stronger and faster,
the
basically.
speed is a huge deal. 100 is just such a good benchmark, especially
Mhm.
considering the base 100s like never actually run max speed. They do sometimes. Even like Gengar sometimes doesn't even run like past 328. Um and this thing like is a recoil like this thing's fire's really good. Um
It like it also gets up a sub so easily
Yeah,
because it
I mean, you
threatens
get up a sub
like
and then something's getting hit with something really hard. Um,
exactly, or they're just gonna keep subbing and then get blazed and then demolish half your team. Also,
yeah, like
beat up
subbing
destroying
and then getting
Blissey.
Blaze and then switching out and having like Blaze Zard in the pocket
Hmm.
is really good.
Yep.
Fire Blast like melts through a lot of things. Um, but I think the issue is that generally the mons that are faster than it like also super kill it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
and then rock coverage like getting a focus punch off on T-Tar is not particularly easy. Um, this thing gets like, oh, if this gets paralyzed, it becomes pretty much useless. I won't
yeah,
lie.
that is true. I mean,
Um,
go ahead, go ahead.
I think that's most of what I was gonna say. Also,
Okay.
to loop back, this thing's focus punch is weak as hell. Um,
Which is why beat up is just better.
but I
Also,
like
its
it goes to
defensive
show how
typing
good
is
Fire Stab
good.
is. Like Blaze Fire Blast is so strong. Like Swampert doesn't love switching it. Like Swampert just dies to
No,
Fire
yeah, it
Blast
like
HP packs.
resists get hit like that shit is neutral. It's crazy. Like the
Um,
amount of times I've done like
then
half to
Gengar just
Gengar.
dies. Um,
Mm-hmm. Zapdos. gets two hit at worst. Yeah, like looking at all this stuff in the tiers above.
Aerodactyl gets 2 hit by Fire Blast, like in
Oh my
Blaze
god, yeah,
range.
I bet.
Um,
The yeah, Starmie. That's like the only really good counter that I see.
yeah, this thing's the Starmie's taking like 60.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
but like yeah, Blaze Fire Blast is really strong. A lot of the
And yeah,
same things apply to Moltres. Uh, the thing is, Moltres gets Will-O-Wisp and like doesn't sub. I guess.
and it's bulky.
It's
It
like
is
if you
very
really
fast.
want a fire type, but you don't really need the versatility or anything, Moltres is generally a better pick because the bulk is nice.
Yeah, I think Moltres is a little more like versatile in like utility,
Yeah, that I
like with
mean,
Roar and Wisp.
if you're using fire for the utility of like having a fire move that's strong as hell, um, I think
True.
Moltres is better because it can fill kind of two roles at once, being a Roarmon. Um,
It's also pretty fast. 90 base speed.
yeah, it's
Pretty
not
good.
slow by any means. It spikes immune too. But again, you know, four
Yeah,
times weak to rock. Sorry, Dugtrio,
I mean,
Arrow, Salamence. There's so many things that just switch into this and
yeah.
like hurt.
I mean,
Um,
also, but the thing is, there's like things that once they're in, they hurt you, but nothing like. Look at the top tier. What comes in on a fucking Moltres? Blissey?
that's kind of the thing. Um,
That's like Blissey. That's it.
that's the thing about the fires in general. I mean, it's
They're yeah,
because
they're super anti-meta.
nothing in this
I mean, I guess they
gen.
are just meta now, honestly.
Yeah, they're the meta anti meta picks. But
Ooh,
yeah, those
speaking
are the
of
fires.
kind of anti-meta, well, I don't know if this
I
is exactly anti-meta. I'm bringing him up. Yama is fucking amazing.
okay. I don't know about A tier though.
I mean, okay. We'll save him for later. What else? What else do you got in A tier?
Let's do like
Flygon,
Heracross,
Heracross,
Flygon.
Breloom.
Uh,
eh,
we'll run through these decently fast. I hope.
Got not Lax. Nope.
I'm really
Nope.
hesitant about
Nope.
Lax. Fine. Um,
Fuck that mon.
Milotic.
Digmon. Er,
Really?
yeah, probably.
This thing
Probably.
has recover, dude.
Probably.
Don't forget.
Anything I recover. It does, yeah.
um, Breloom, I would say Forretress.
Not Fori.
Really?
I don't think he's all the way up there with mons like that. Nah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about these couple. Heracross Swarm boosted Mega Horn's brutal, and then you burn him, and then suddenly he has guts, and it's still brutal.
Yeah, super
Um,
just win con as well.
so this is
Less.
like the best Selachmon of all time.
Mhm. So like
Um,
if you can just like trap their T-Tar like with your dog, and then like you have any of your bajillion mons, or even dog just running like something like Rain Dance, so then you can go sub select Hera and with impunity because of no sand.
yeah,
Also really threatening. And then the band sets, the lefties sets, all around when it gets in, something is
something's
because
getting
like
hit really, really, really hard, and like
its
more so than most other mods would do. This is like a
coverage
nuke
is
mod.
really just amazing. Like, I mean, the only things I really don't mind coming in on it are like kind of Zap and Mence, but like then again, since it has such good spadef, you can like if they're low and you're at like a decent amount of health, you can probably just rock slide them. And
Um,
even then, they're not gonna appreciate coming in on like a banded mega horn or a focus punch
I mean,
or
even like resist like Zapdos or oh my god, I like I was shocked at how much damage a band did like Swarm boosted Megahorn did to
hmm
Skarmory. Of like, despite the defense, despite the
four
quad
times
resist,
resist.
the
Yeah,
thing does like 30. Um, it's ridiculous how strong that move is. Um, Flygon. I've never seen a Mon fall off as hard as Flygon has. Um, this thing used to be like super good. Um,
I'm not an old head, so I would not know.
But now it's just kind of like
Really good.
Mister loses to ice coverage.
Yeah,
Um,
its role kind of got taken over by Claydol. They occupy similar roles, but Claydol gets a little more versatility.
yeah.
However, there's obviously advantages with Flygon, like fire resist,
The reason you
water
use this is
neutrality.
just the speed tier
Yeah,
and
speed
the
too.
levitate. Um, but
Like
like
literally, just my favorite set is definitely just EQ Toxic and then Sub Protect. If you have like especially with a mag, that demolishes literally every Pokemon.
the issue with Flygon now though is that it just loses to like everything in the meta.
It can like like strong neutral coverage, like meteor mashes and hydro pumps, and what else?
This thing doesn't feel safe switching
Hmm.
into like T-Tar anymore too. Um,
Yeah, especially with like all the ice beam,
and then
fast
you
special attack
like don't
runs.
feel safe switching into Celebi or not Celebi, Jirachi. You don't feel safe. There's so many things to where like this thing would be really good against this, but if that thing is holding like ice coverage, it's over.
Hmm.
Um, and that's part of the debate with like, oh, do I do HP grass or do I do HP ice? To where Flygon is like Flygon can run amok if you don't like
Very true.
if you don't have like good ice coverage left over. This thing will just sub on you and ruin your team.
Yeah, and it'll, especially since it's like almost completely immune to like all passive damage and avoiding toxics with it's pretty easy to avoid toxics with
Yeah, like
Flygon.
there's not a lot of fast toxic.
And
Um,
like not even a lot of stuff where it's like you even are afraid to switch out and you stay in on a toxic type of stuff. Like also among the best checks to DD Tar and
yeah.
the other rock types in general.
Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of its viability hinges on being able to check Tyranitar, but there's just better mons for it.
There are
Um,
basically just Claydol. Claydol
but
kind of can just do its job better.
um, Milotic. I this is
Super
like
strong.
everything Suicune is, but like significantly more annoying to me. Um,
Yeah, Suicune if it didn't kill you and just sat
Sweet
there and didn't die.
Suicune, if all Suicune could do was like toxic and then just like recover and refresh. This is the most linear mon of all time. It just toxics you. This is like a late game. Oh, you have nothing that beats Milotic anymore, so I win.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and like even like you have to boom it basically or thunderbolt it or something. Like it's really hard, and those moves are not easy to pin down a Milotic with. So like,
yeah, is that you're not switching in your like Gengar to deal with
mhm.
Milotic.
Yeah, like oh, you can taunt it down, but like how do you get it in the first place?
Yeah,
And I
you're
mean, the
like
thing is
eating a surf.
that Milotic like obviously can't really threaten out stuff like Calm Mind, anything really. Like Calm Minders are pretty good against it,
Yeah.
especially those with sub. But like
Most
against
of
the
the
more
problems
immediate,
that
like against non-setup threats, Milotic just wins, except for like banded booms and stuff.
uh the problems that Milotic faces are like kind of similar to Suicune, but the fact that it just like it has recover and refresh make it so like it does not care about passive damage dearly to the degree of Suicune.
Hmm.
But like, you know, it still doesn't like taking like Spike's chip, Sandstorm chip on a switch in and then it cuz it's just another one of the culprits of like this Zapdos is going to thunderbolt you and then you're going to die at some point, or somebody puts up a sub against you and then you just suddenly don't really do much anymore. um it's I don't know. I
It does what it does very well,
Yeah,
but
it again,
it
it's
doesn't
just
do
one
a
of those
huge amount
mods
of
where
damage.
it's if you they're like, oh, you can't beat Milotic anymore, and then they win. But it getting to
Hmm.
that point, you gotta be aware of like the two mono waters are like more something you need to be aware of as opposed to being afraid of them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
word, honestly.
Breloom, fast spore, focus punch hits like a truck. There's not much to say about this. This is a
Yeah,
very good
you
lead.
take your focus punch and then your brick breaker, sky uppercut or mock, and then your thing to hit Gengar, which is like stun spore or HP ghost, and then you're good. And you're
Yeah,
one of the most threatening mons in the tier because you base 70 when you're Jolly. Jolly Breloom is better. Took me a while to convert, but I do now think that Jolly Breloom is better because that speed tier just goes past so many things. You're going past T-Tar, you're going past Metagross because no one runs max speed in Metagross. You're going past Swampert, past Blissey, uh, past Claydol usually, past Mag, past a lot of Milotics and Suicunes. Like, yeah, a lot of this stuff, Breloom is able to outspeed and then sleep and focus punch, and like, it also forces switches really well because
yeah. I mean,
fighting stab is great, and it'll come in on that rock slide or that thunderbolt, and then fire off its big move, and then it'll switch out, and then it'll like do it maybe once more, and that's all the utility you need because it's already slept something, assuming you led with it, which is like the best.
yeah.
I
I was
think
gonna say
I
when
think
I
you kind of have to lead with it to get the best to really warrant its use because otherwise you're kind of it's a little hard to squeeze out all of the utility you need from a slot on your team.
when I was I don't know if this is what you're referring to. When you said Zap is a top two lead. I think this is the other guy. I think Breloom's are
Oh, I was saying T-Tar. I'm saying T-Tar Zap
okay.
is top
Fair,
two.
fair.
I think Breloom is like three or like four at worst, honestly. Probably four, I think.
Uh, the thing like okay, nobody runs drill peck Zapdos. Who cares?
You'd be surprised.
I run drill peck Zapdos sometimes. But like it has spore and like a strong as hell focus punch. That's all they need.
So true. And it's stab focus punch. So like even when you're not adamant, that focus punch is going to be doing like I don't even know 30 or 40 to stuff like Celebi, and that forces a turn for them to recover, which means you get your like, and it can really just you you can really snowball from that momentum pretty easily,
Yeah.
especially with one of their mons incapacitated from the sleep.
Um yeah, very good Pokemon.
Oh yeah, and if they have the fucking nerve to bring in any of the natural cure mons on the turn you spore,
Who cares?
like literally, who cares?
It's such a who cares moment.
It is because
You
like
just
Starmie doesn't want anything to do with a focus punch. Celebi, I mean, sure, but like eventually it's gonna have to switch out.
yeah, I mean you're guaranteed one turn of a focus punch if that happens.
Exactly, yeah.
Against Celebi and it's the best sleep inducer. Um
So easily.
okay. I
Okay.
think probably gonna cut it off here.
Okay. How long? Wait, how long has this been?
It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I think we might have to just like do B tier and then be done. I don't know if I can do all this. This has been a
Yeah.
long time.
Um.
Okay, let's just throw like a bunch of the mods in B tier and then we can just like adjust them.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
so
mean,
like it.
let's order this really quick.
Oh yeah, actually, I don't think Suicune is above.
I
The fire is at least. I don't think it's above.
okay. I'll be with you there. I think it. I
Yeah, no, I
I would
agree with
say
that.
that that's probably.
I could also see it maybe above Flygon, but I don't know. I'm a big Flygon enjoyer personally.
I think I'm fine with this. Um.
So you just start
So
tossing like Gira, Yama.
we'll
Uh,
throw Jolteon,
oh yeah,
Forretress,
Jolteon.
Ninjask,
Oh yeah, I guess.
Cloyster.
Cloyster.
Um.
Ooh.
I'm super fence-sitter about Speargle. Um,
I don't know about B. It's a good
that's
lead.
fair. Gyarados. So
Mm-hmm.
Hariyama.
Raikou, I'd say.
Yeah, Raikou. I'm also hesitant
Oh,
on
Lax.
Regice. Oh, Lax definitely needs to be here.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't say Regis. I don't like Regis.
Uh,
Okay, wait, let's Dawn. Probably not. Maybe not quite Dawn fan in B tier.
Probably Porygon too.
Oh yeah, and
I would say that's
probably,
probably it
probably.
for me. Um, so I guess I want to just roughly order these.
Okay, okay, okay.
Um, I'd say probably this. Um,
Okay,
this
let's
is
start with Lax.
yeah,
Biggest fraud ever. Not to say it isn't like obviously threatening with like the strongest move in the game being its boom, getting stab normal, which is great, access to focus punch, EQ, shadow ball, curse, great moves. The problem is like even with immunity helps a lot. If it didn't have immunity, it would be like just super duper
you wouldn't
bad.
see use for it. I feel.
Hmm.
Um,
But even still, just being sand weak and spike weak means you get chipped down so quickly. Every move, even a fucking Skarmory drill peck, a surf from Swampert, all that stuff is going to stick and you're not going to be able to heal it off unless you're running a rest set, but those suck, in my opinion. So the only like decent lax sets in my. I'm definitely a lax hater in this gen,
you
I'll say
are.
that. But I think the utility set is pretty decent where it's like 3 attacks plus boom. Like I get the utility of those. Also, I've seen actually I haven't really seen this, but I've heard talk of how solid the curse boom set is at removing Skarmory, and I can kind of see that how it would be nice to free up a Magnezone slot even or a Magneton slot to have a special sponge like a Snorlax on the type of team where that would fit, where it would be like a lot of physical attackers and not much in the way of special defense. So I mean, like I just don't think it has enough longevity or is quite threatening enough to warrant how frail it can be.
Yeah, I mean this spot's like a super on paper Pokemon that sounds really good. Um, because its stats are great. You know, we're just out of Gen 2 to where it was the best spawn in the game. Where it's like, I mean, how much has really changed? It got a good ability to where it's immune to toxic, but like,
Sand.
there's fighting coverage on a lot of these Pokemon. Um, it's like a lot more frail on the physical side than you'd
Yeah,
expect
because you
before
don't get
Curse.
max EV is like in Gen 2.
Yeah. I mean, this thing
Coverage
also
issues for
like
Moveset
this
Syndrome.
falls apart to TSS. Like even if it can't be toxic, this thing just gets roared out over and
Yeah,
over
and it
again.
gets and it really
Um,
gets switched around on like you bring it in and then they have answers where they can switch around and whittle you down. And
I will
also,
say though, like sometimes this thing feels unbeatable when you're not ready for it. That's really where.
I mean, yeah, but like you don't really have to go out of your way to
Yeah, I
have
mean,
answers to it.
you don't have to you don't. It's not like Starmie where you need like a oh we need a Pokemon that beats Starmie, right?
Otherwise, you get swept instantly. Or I need something
Yeah,
so I don't get like cleaned up by Aerodactyl or
I
set up
mean, you
on like
got your meta.
Tara.
If you have a Metagross, if you have a T-Tar, if you have a Skarm,
Hmm.
which by the way, if you're running a team that is running none of those, that's your
Awkward.
fault.
Yeah.
um,
The call mind spam on the table.
it's just like there's a lot of ways to deal with Lex.
Yeah. Also, and I feel like we just really cannot understate sand. Like this Pokemon is the, if not Suicune, like the most afflicted by sand in the entire meta.
Yeah,
Because like, it would love to be getting lefties every turn.
yeah,
Like so much, which is why it's a mainstay on the teams that like I mentioned before with like Heracross who like try to remove sand on those teams. Although they're in my eyes a little gimmicky, he fits like perfectly because then you get to actually do what you want instead of trying to dance around and like build sets around the lack of longevity you'll have.
yeah. And I mean, it's if it was immune to Sandstorm, it'd have so much. It'd have so
It'd be
much more
broken.
going for it.
It would be so good if it was immune to Sandstorm.
Jolteon. This is like
Fast. It's fast and it's so
the
passive.
most one note Pokemon ever. Uh, just run Thunderbolt, Toxic or T-Wave, and pass an HP Grass or Ice, and that's the
Yeah, I mean,
Pokemon.
in that third slot, you can kind of be like, oh, sub, status, wish, protect. Like, there's some options in that third slot, but it's really two attacks, BP. You do have to run BP, otherwise you get
Yeah.
dugged.
I mean,
I mean, actually, you do Oko, I think, with your HP.
yeah, you do.
So, but still having BP because you force everything out because you're so fast is very important.
Yeah. That's its niche. It just generates like a positive switch in for you. And then it also like, oh, it has Stab Thunderbolt that's like significantly weaker than the other Stab Thunderbolts in this meta. Um
Decent defensive utility too because of Volt Absorb, since Zap is just such a like omnipresent threat. Although you do get T Wave still, which is
that's the problem.
so sad. It's yeah, which is
It
too
it
bad.
it sucks. Um Fortress. This thing is also another culprit of falling off really
Mm.
hard.
Yeah, once we solidify the placements, I'm definitely going to be petitioning to get this a little lower. But yeah, it spikes. You have to run spike and spin because otherwise, why not just run
Spike Spin and
like
Boom are necessities. You don't have options
I don't
otherwise.
know. No, I don't know if boom is a necessity, honestly, in my opinion. Because like spike spin boom, like yeah, I get that, and then your last slot is probably say EQ or something to like just so you don't get magged.
There's HP Bug or EQ.
Bug, EQ. But the thing is, like I think over boom because like you're not like what would be the stuff that's coming in on Fori isn't really the type of thing that's going to be threatening it out immediately. Which I mean, like, oh yeah, so then you can boom stuff, but like, why would you want to boom stuff when you can like maintain the actual like utility of spiking and spinning? Like the advantage that it has over Skarmory is that it gets to come in and spin on it.
Yeah.
So like booming it away. I mean, sure, I guess if Skarm's gone already and you don't have much more use for it, then yeah. But I think on a more game-to-game basis, you're gonna be one of your running moves like EQ, HP Bug, Zap Cannon, Toxic, Protect. Like in my opinion, I don't think Boom is a great. I don't think it's the best option. It's a good option for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm not saying it shouldn't
I
be
mean,
ran, but
it's really good in the late game scenario where your fortress has nothing else to do, and then they don't like have a Gar.
yeah.
Um,
And the thing is, it is roll compression to like a fault. Like it
yeah,
wants to be doing so many things. Like spiking, spinning, and booming in one game. You're not
yeah,
doing all that. Like straight up, that you're not getting all that done.
yeah,
Spiking and spinning is already enough of a task, quite frankly. Which is yeah. So it's basically just kind of overburdened usually, and
yeah.
it
I mean, Magneton literally stopped running HP Fire because this thing started like being not used anymore, and the fires started being used more. Um, like I don't know, it's not good. The thing it was good at is being like, oh, I get to go on against Skarmory and like do what Skarmory does better, but exclusively in the Ditto. Um,
exactly yeah.
but
I mean,
it
which
ain't a fantasy world. We got Magneton who still two hit KOs you with Bolt.
mhm.
And we got the fires, and now we got Flamethrower Blissey and Fire Punch Gengar, and
And
it's
even like neutral special coverage is not something you're gonna be wanting to take
yeah,
like
you don't want to get hit by a
pumps
Hydro Pump from Pert.
or like thunderbolts or anything like that. I mean, admittedly, you are weak to most of it and resistant to the other chunk of it, like psychics and ice beams and crunches you can come in on.
It's just like everything that has that also has a different move that will do
Exactly,
good against
yeah.
it. Um, all right, Ninjask is like the gimmick.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we don't really have to talk much about it. It passes speed
It passes
and a
speed
sub.
and has HP bug. This thing, what I will talk about is that this thing is not nearly what it once was. Um,
Yeah, because of the
because
BP
of
nerfs,
the
thank God.
baton pass nerfs. Um, so
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna
rest in
have to put
peace,
that a
but
little lower.
rest in peace, but I will not miss you. Um,
Yeah, I don't think anyone will. And also, it's just if you have a Skarmory, I mean, Ninjask teams almost always have a mag anyway, but like
you have
when you
a
have Skarm,
roar
yeah,
of
or
any
to
form.
roar, a Pert to roar, a Zap to roar, like literally just roar is being so prevalent in this gen really takes away from what it's able to do.
Yeah.
So thank God it doesn't get like taunt or something.
Oh my god, I would. All right, Hariyama. This thing's on it. I think okay, I forgot to mention this with Jolteon. I think Hariyama and Jolteon are like the two bonds on the come up, in my opinion,
Jolt on the
meta
come up.
wise.
Hmm.
Um
I haven't really.
I have
I don't know.
seen Jolteon a lot more frequently. I'm lower ladder, I guess, on my main.
Okay, okay.
But like in the 1400s, I've actually been seeing it quite a bit.
Hmm.
Um
Well, in the 1600s, I haven't been.
yes, okay. When we've been playing in the 1600s, I think I saw it once.
we.
Yeah, okay.
I love hating. Uh,
Yeah. Um,
Anyways, give me a chance to talk about my son, about my goat.
okay.
So basically, knockoff. Like literally, Yama, the main like attraction is that it gets to knock off. The fact that it has great attack, like 120 base, massive bulk, like 144, 60, 60, I think. And then
144 is
like,
insane.
yeah, like literally. And then you get a choice between two great abilities in Thick, Fat, and Guts. I personally, I've actually been like thinking that the bulkier sets are kind of better lately, because like especially when you even have even stuff like a Leech Seed to pass to it, let alone a Wish. It
Yeah.
is especially good with Wish support though. But like the fact if you knock off something like Skarm, Pert, Gar, Zap,
Nothing in this gen loves switching into knockoff.
yeah, there's
Like it's genuinely so
period.
important to pretty much every single one of the like good mons in this gen really care about their items. Um
And the additional like utility, well, not, yeah, like stuff like Whirlwind is great because you get to because well you come in on Yama and then you get knocked and then you're like, oh, okay, how do I threaten this out? You either set up on it or you just have like a big like bandit or like blazed fire blast type shit. Like either one big ass move or you're setting up on it and Whirlwind alleviates one of those things, which is great, which is set up. Also getting racking up spikes damage since you've knocked stuff off is nice. Its focus punch hits super hard, even on like especially once again with them not getting lefties and being chipped down by the sand. Nothing really wants to come in on your focus punch, and also it's a good like it has a good defensive utility because of its massive bulk. Like you can switch on stuff like uh Gengar if you're guts. You can switch it on T-Tar, on Pert, kind of, on Blissey, on Skarm, on Celebi if you know they don't have Psychic. Like a lot of things. Oh, a lot of rock, all their any rock type move really. A lot of God, what else? Or Heracross. You can come in on Heracross kind of.
yeah.
But like, okay, that was pretty long winded and probably a bit over descriptive. But basically, you knock stuff off, you're bulky, and you get to hit things, and you get to do all of those in one Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I think
also,
this bond's really solid as a lead, and it's another instance
yes,
of
it is a super like. I think it might be like I think it's probably top three leads because you get
really
to, yeah. I'd say, in my opinion, I think it's better than Breloom.
okay. Um but like this is just like an instance of like a lead Pokemon that just does not get switched into. Um
Yeah, like literally, period.
it,
Like there's
it
no
does not get
asterisk.
one hit KO'd ever because nobody runs psychic or flying moves in this.
Yeah,
Um,
especially not in the lead slot.
in the lead slot for sure. Like
And also the
Drill
monster.
Peck lead Zapdos, yeah, sure, still doing like 60 max.
Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
even go ahead.
it's I don't know. It's just a really good lead bond. Focus Punch hits like a truck. This is like the best a pure fighting will be at this.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it also kind of on the sort of teams who would want like Mag, it can really replace Mag because once Skarm gets its lefties knocked off, it's just on a timer, and you only got to hit it a few times before I can just outspeed it and kill it.
Yeah.
Or like when you knock off a Skarm, your opponent's like, well, shit, what am I gonna do now? Like, and then you just start focus punching it, and unless they have like a Gengar or something, they're something else is getting knocked off. Even if they do have a Gengar and you're like presumably decently healthy, you can knock off a guard too. So this thing gets a lot of mileage, like whenever it wants, no matter what.
All right, enough yapping.
So
Hariyama
true.
is on the come up. Knockoff is
Been on the
like
come up. Right.
knockoff is like it's very good. I feel like it's crazy it took so long to realize.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
People like back in the day experimenting with Armaldo, being like, "Oh, this move's kind of good."
Cloyster. If you want to talk about biggest fraud of all time, we
Yeah,
gotta talk about
I don't know
Cloyster.
why this thing is OU.
Um, this
It's not
thing,
even like the best fast spiker, in my opinion.
you know how Fortress loves being like, oh, I go in on Skarmory and I uh spike on it and I can rapid spin. Um, the benefit for Fortress is that it has an actually decently strong serve, or not Fortress for Cloyster. It has a strong serve. Um,
However,
but it is also like got the worst defensive typing of all time.
well,
Uh,
yeah, you get chipped down by sand, by spikes, by toxic,
like it's impressive. Like
and the comical Spadef. Oh my
yeah,
god.
it's really okay. So water type very good. But now you're just dying to rocks and you're dying to like rock slide. You're dying to bolt. You're dying to HP grass coverage.
Especially
Um,
because like you have to run speed. Like otherwise, like what point is there to run them on? So you
yeah.
have to like almost fully invest in speed, which means you don't get to have the like honestly nice physical bulk once you invest in HP. You don't get that because you've also gotta invest in special attack to make those surfs stick to stuff like fucking anything, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean it just does not have the stats to cut it anywhere. The defense
It has
stat is
spikes.
insane.
Hmm.
Um,
But too bad it's
too bad its
physical.
HP is not insane.
Hmm.
And its spin F is so bad. And even if its defense stat is insane, it's still just dying to +1 rock slide from T-Tar. Um, like its ice type just ruins it, dude. Um, yeah, biggest fraud of all time. Uh, does have rapid
Definitely.
spin though.
Yeah. Oh, also, doesn't it not get to run Spin and Boom on the same set?
That's a good
I was gonna
question.
say, I'm pretty sure there's like some egg incompatibility thing. Oh, it does. Okay, maybe that
Oh,
was
it's
Gen
fine.
2 where it didn't get to. Okay,
Um,
then actually, yeah, that's not as bad. But yeah, yeah, look at that. That's
I
so
love the
sad.
SPDEF investment, and it's just 187.
Yeah, so you really get to live that one neutral hit, dude. That's gonna go
Yeah.
so far.
Um,
Gira, Gira. Fallen
Gyarados,
off.
yeah,
However, I do think people have been underrating it a little too much lately. I get that, yeah, it gets worn down by Toxic and Sandstorm. It is very afflicted by Sandstorm, but its typing is great. It's bulky. It gets Intimidate. And
yeah,
then DD, and you obviously just get EQ and then HP Rock because I think HP Rock is like definitively better in my opinion. But
yeah,
the third slot is like where like Gyarados shines because you get to run whatever you want. You get Double Edge, Thunder Wave taunt to beat so that like then Skarm can't lure you out or toxic you. That's really good.
Yeah.
So like I've I've been slightly Gira pilled lately, like realizing that people are sleeping on it. You know what I
Um,
mean?
I do
And also,
think I do
oh
think
god,
Gyarados is pretty good. The Intimidate's really helpful. The issue is like this thing is so far from immediately threatening
yes, yeah.
compared to like Salamence because its speed is just so mediocre.
hmm
Um
And you can't, and you don't really want to be running like HP flying on it because,
yeah. Um so this is like one of those mons that really needs a couple turns to get going.
hmm
Um but there's a lot of value to that. There's a lot of Pokemon that like oh you give it a couple turns and it's suddenly a beast, but it's not in the same way that like T-Tar and Salamence are or like Jirachi because those three can all like scare you in different ways and have coverage and immediately threatening like attacks.
hmm
Gyarados just does not have that.
yeah,
Um but it is really solid. Intimidate's really good. It's got like really good bulk
yes,
and a really
genuinely super insane
and
bulk. Like it's
like
like
its
85,
stat spread.
79, 100, I think.
Its stat spread is ridiculous.
95, yeah, like crazy stats.
Yeah. Also, like Elephant in the Room, quad weak to electric. Like,
I mean,
that's not
yeah, but
fun.
like it
Um,
definitely isn't fun, but it it doesn't really come into play against a lot of the things that it wants to check. Like
yeah.
Swampert,
I don't even think
meta.
like Starmie Bolt one hit KOs it.
Oh
Um,
God, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
the
Let's,
special.
I'm
I
maybe
don't
on the
know.
bulk, maybe the like rest talk,
I'm
not
not
rest talk,
certain of
just
it.
rest.
Regardless, I think this mon has a lot of. It's, it's close. You know what I mean? And I
I do.
could see it becoming more meta relevant. It's missing the immediate threat. That like everything else in its role
That's yeah.
has. Um, Raikou, I think you said it best. Um, when you said this thing either like instantly dies and does nothing or like sweeps your team.
Yeah.
Um,
This Pokemon is the sole reason why like you have to run Seismic Toss on your Blissey, otherwise you lose.
but
Because like
like I shudder every time I see this, and then it instantly dies to Earthquake on a bad
yeah,
switch in. Um,
it's like fast, electric stab, and then just HP ice, subcall mind. That's such a crazy threatening set with those stats. But then like it has so many
it,
weaknesses where
it
it's
it
like,
ain't it ain't the same thing as Zapdos because it just gets
yeah.
hit by Earthquake.
hmm
Um, and that's like a huge problem this gen. It gets trapped by Doug and dies. It Claydol beats it. Like
And it's also, yeah, kind of the same thing as Gira. It is not quite as immediately threatening as stuff above it. It's,
yeah,
I definitely say it's more
I would
immediately
say it's
threatening than
more
Gira.
threatening. Like Stab Bolt is
Like
still
Sap
hurts.
is, yeah, but
Um,
like when also it really, really suffers from choosing between HP Ice and Grass. Because Grass does a lot more mid-game utility, taking out Pert. But like Ice you want for sweep, which is why most people pick Ice, because it is a cleaner and sweeper.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think it's a super like
Linear,
glass
very
cannon
linear.
Pokemon where it's just like if it can get going, it can get going really well.
hmm
It's the case with a lot of calm mindsets just in general, but then this thing just loses to Earthquake. It loses to Doug, loses to Arrow. And it just does not have the coverage it needs.
Yeah.
um,
And then yeah, there's also just like even like say you come in, you kill, you get like +1 or even +2 or something, and then you kill their Zap, let's say. You can bring in something like Meta or T-Tar, which aren't like even hard checks on paper, but will definitely be living that bum ass Thunderbolt and
yeah,
Earthquaking you, and you die instantly. And like Dog too, just like uh also Claydol is a pretty annoying for it.
I already said this.
Oh damn, did you?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. No. It's so it's another one that's like really close. If it had more like bulk, if it had another like if it had like a Giga Drain for some reason or
Yeah,
some
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of good
yeah.
coverage move.
But I mean,
Um.
like even then, it's not like it can fit it.
Um. I don't know. Generally, like there's better Calm Mind Pokemon to run for sure.
But it is
But it's this
fast.
the
That's like
speed
the
tier is the
big
reason
thing.
you run it.
It's really fast, which is good.
Um.
So like it can that it like there's nothing bar fucking Aerodactyl in S or A plus that outspeeds it.
Yeah.
Oh, Doug, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Doug's the big problem.
Yeah, Doug.
Um.
But still, I mean, if you can get once stuff is out of the way, it is able to really threaten some beat up teams.
Yeah. Um. Last Pokemon, Porygon 2. This mod's really funny. Um.
Yeah.
Trace is a really good ability. Like, I would hesitantly say behind like Sandstream, it's the best in the game. Um. In
I
like
appreciate the hesitation at least. I don't know about say, but it's very
I
good.
mean in terms of like legal ones. Um.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, yeah, like without the context of what Mons it's on, I guess I could kind of see that.
Uh. Because like Trace, you switch, you like switch into so many things, and suddenly like oh
Yeah,
you're immune to Flygon's Quake.
and
You're
Jolteon's
trapping.
Bolt.
I mean the obvious thing. The reason you run it most of the time is like, you kill Doug or Mag, right? They kill one of your things, and then you switch it into Dugtrio and kill it, or you switch it into Magneton and you kill that. um or like setup, there's some like stupid setup sets,
The sharpened set is so funny.
or you switch into a Ninjask. um it's just I don't know, it's a shame that it doesn't work with Intimidate. You get the ability, it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
um and or
Oh, but
and
on that
switching in a
note,
natural cure as well. um
oh yeah, yeah, Natural Cure is actually one of the best things. You can just come in on Blissey for free.
yeah. um this thing's surprisingly bulky. It gets like bolt beam coverage. Sometimes they run double edge, which is funny. Sharpen.
Yeah,
uh and then I don't know,
just
it's a
recover
funny
and then
mon. It's
status.
like really anti-meta, and it's not even particularly bad.
I mean,
um
yeah,
it's
it gets
just
worn down
it's hard
though.
to work in is the
Once
thing.
you, yeah, once you do manage to get like that hit on it, that toxic or that big fire blast to where, because it's slow and it won't be able to recover off on many mons. Like it does have a lot of longevity issues. However, it does still check stuff like Pert, stuff like Mixments, fucking Banded Aerodactyl. Like it's good check when it's healthy, but it's very hard to keep healthy, let's say.
Yeah. um yeah, I think it's over. I think that's
Okay.
it.
Yeah, let's double check. Let's see if we missed anything big in the
uh,
um
I would say Gyarados is probably better than Cloyster.
yeah, I'd agree. I'd say Cloyster's only better than like Porygon, honestly.
Yeah. I
Move Yama up. Like
I'm
that's it.
sorry. I'm taking
There's
executive authority on this. I could see it
really
over Ninjask. Um,
not even above 40. I was gonna put it like right behind or above Lax personally. I think
I don't
this
think
thing
okay, it's not passing
it
these
does
two. I'm sorry.
it does so well against the meta. I don't.
I'm not letting it pass these two.
Okay,
Um,
okay. It is your list. Um,
it's okay. It's not my list.
um,
Um,
any other mons we want to give a quick mention to?
uh, Regice can get a quick mention for being the biggest fall off of any Pokemon ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't
Um,
even know how it was ever on, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at these, look at the top five and tell me that Regice does, like,
Yeah,
anything to any
exactly.
of these. Oh,
And
yay, it gets to explode on two of them. Um,
barely, because it gets, isn't it slower than Blissey?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's
Also,
slower
like,
than Blissey.
it's just like an example of, I guess, stab ice type move is really, really good to have, but,
Very true.
um, we'll mention that,
I think, I'd say, I think Kingdra deserves a shout out. I think
yes,
Kingdra's
very,
pretty cool.
um,
Really threatening. You don't even
Wailord.
like without setting up Rain Dance, it's really threatening. Pump Surf, and then Ice Beam, and then yeah, bulky,
Um,
good typing.
Wailord is a really funny anti-meta lead, um,
Hmm.
because
That
it's
water spout.
if you, it's really funny because a lot of the leads in this game just like do not want to stay in against Wailord, um,
Yeah,
and I
but
find
that
that
like,
funny.
and then like you're like, oh wait a minute, this Breloom outspeeds me. Wait a minute, this T-Tar. This is a fast T-Tar, and it's gonna crunch me. So then my water spout won't OHKO. It's just yeah, it's a little better on paper, but it's still a pretty cool mod.
Yeah. The last one that's fair to mention because I've been seeing it a lot despite it not being particularly great is Metacham. Um,
Yeah, Metacham is also I also think that's a good lead slot type
yeah, I
thing.
was gonna say Metacham's like exclusively a lead Pokemon
Yeah,
because
you just
it's strong as hell. Um,
hmm
but then it's like horrible everywhere else, and that's
yeah,
it.
you basically like you it doesn't get any resists. It gets a rock resist and that's it. I
Well,
mean, sure,
you're
yeah, you
just
can
not
come in on our rock
switching.
side. Like
You're
you can and like it's not quite fast enough to be like revenging stuff mostly. But I mean, what can I say except for adamant choice band focus punch? Like
yeah, that's about it. I
it's
mean,
decently fast, I guess.
yeah, just nothing wants to switch into it. Nothing wants to stay in. There's things that don't particularly love to stay. It's like one of those bonds to where you just kind of you want to figure out what move it uses first and then play
Mm-hmm.
around it. Um, yeah, I think that's the last one I would mention.
Alrighty.
Uh, maybe we'll go through the bad Pokemon at some point, but
Not
until then, I
we've been
think this
talking.
is about it.